All right, welcome back. As we said, that all eyes in Parliament today for the budget speech by the Finance Minister, Malusi Gigaba. Leanne is in Parliament for us this morning. Let's find out what she has in store. Lee, good morning to you.
Thank you. About there. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Is there any way I can have program on there?
Can we have a program on there?
Off air.
Brandon.
All right, a very, very good morning to everybody, and thank you so much for watching us here on Morning Live. Beautiful day in Cape Town as we prepare for the national budget that will be announced sometime this afternoon. So it's a big one. It's a very, very important one. The winds of change are blowing here in South Africa, and the national budget certainly does have to reflect those changes that have been mentioned by our new President Cyril Ramaphosa. We saw that, of course, during the State of the Nation address, and a lot was said and a lot needs to be done in order to bring South Africa up to a position where I suppose ratings agencies are enjoying what they see, international investors are enjoying what they see, but most importantly, South Africans are enjoying what they see when it comes to job creation and many, many other issues. Well, let's talk to my analyst, our first analyst, because we've got quite a few lined up for you this morning to give you some interpretation into all of this. We've got Thandisiwe Mahlutsana, who is with us here. He, of course, is a senior tax consultant with Mazars. Good to have you. Thanks so much for chatting to us here on the program.
Good to be here, Leanne. Thank you very much, and good morning to you and to the listeners. To the viewers of Morning Live, so from PBS Investments.
Awesome, great to have you. All right, so let's talk about a piece you wrote actually, and you were pretty much so asking if the budget will be enough to appease the ratings agencies. So that's a big question. What do you think?
Look, it's a significant budget for a number of reasons. It's President Matamela's first budget since he became president recently. It's Minister Gigaba's first budget speech, real budget speech. We know he delivered the medium-term budget policy statement towards the latter end of last year. But I think there are so many questions that remain unanswered, and certainly the ratings agencies are looking forward to getting what the answers to those questions are. So questions around funding of free tertiary education. I mean, it's a big issue that only in December we realized that by this year we have to make provision for it.
Yeah, I mean, put a figure to that. What was it, about 12.3 billion rand?
Yes, it's around that figure, which would be on top of what the current allocation to NSFAS is, which I think the current allocation is around 11 billion rands. And already we have a revenue hole in the budget. There's another cost that we have been not avoiding, but we haven't spoken about much, which is the cost for getting the NHI going. The Minister of Health is very confident that in the mid-2020s, NHI will be in full swing. Yeah. But we know to get that going, we need, the figure that was first given to us in the initial papers that were released in late 2009, 2010 was around 256 billion rands. Now, chances are, and there's a high probability that that number has probably shot up to around 300 billion rands now. Where are we going to get that money? And there are a number of other things that remain unanswered. And so the ratings agencies still have a lot of questions that remain unanswered, and the confidence, therefore, will be difficult for them to have confidence in their country until they have answers to those questions. Yeah. And I think for Minister Gigaba, it's going to be difficult for him to not only please the ratings agencies, but to also please the South African community, the international community, the market in large, because there's this current confidence, there's this current positivity that's happening in the country. And we saw how that just lit up when President Matamela Ramaphosa delivered his SONA. Yeah. And I think it may be difficult for Minister Gigaba to actually get up to that level.
Yeah, well, it is. And also there's a lot of reasons that are hanging over Minister Gigaba's head right now, that you've got the EFF that are threatening to boycott coming into Parliament because they feel that he is tainted and he is not a good reflection for a finance minister. But I think these are all issues that are going to be dealt with. But just finally, as we sort of wrap this up because of timing, I mean, we've got a deficit that's sitting at around 50 billion rand. Everything you've spoken about, the NHI, you're speaking about free education, tertiary education, and many, many more issues that need to be funded, but with this massive deficit, which in turn will mean taxes should be increased, and there's that talk of VAT. Now that's the big one.
Yeah, look, that is the elephant in the room, unfortunately. I think it's a subject matter we have shied away from for a long period of time, and I've had a series of conversations with my colleagues, certainly in my organization, and colleagues outside of my organization, but within our industry. And it becomes an emotive issue, but I think we are entering an era of consultation in this new dispensation. And I think it could be a shock into the system if it just happens that there's an announcement that VAT will be increased. We know we could possibly get around 22 billion rands. But then the question is, if you raise VAT, say by 1%, then you have a group of people who are your pensioners that are relying on government welfare. And if you increase VAT, that means whatever increase you will give them on the allowance in welfare benefits will be eaten away by the 1% increase in VAT.
Yeah.
So you may have to go back to your VAT collection, your increased VAT collection, to give more back to those people. But I suppose we each have to give something. And in respect of this now, this era being an era of consultation, we know there certainly are a lot of quarters within the country that would be unhappy if that would happen. And I think President Matamela Ramaphosa actually wants stability. He wants the country to be calm, to be in a stable state. He wants consultation, rightly or wrongly. I mean, we heard in his reply to Parliament yesterday around the issue of the reconfiguration of the composition of cabinet.
Yeah, that's another
and he
story.
said, it could take time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are becoming impatient with this. It could take time. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are becoming impatient with this consultative process. But I think that's certainly where we're entering. And my view is, if we were to go to the route of increasing VAT, I think there would be a series of consultations before it actually happens, because that also means legislation needs to be changed.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to us here. Tandisiwe Mahlutana is, of course, from he's a PPS. Thank you very, very much. I'm busy looking for your super here, but I know later on we're going to be joined by Bernard Sachs. Now, he's a senior tax consultant from Mazars, so stay tuned for that. But, of course, Tandisiwe talking to us from PPS Investments. Thanks again for your opinions. Let's go back to the Johannesburg studio. We've got some sports news to get to. Valen, good morning to you.